Hey there, this is Moonshine, aka Technopath, and welcome to my studio. Today I want to talk to all of you about how I do live music in Ableton. And this is my expansive, or not so expansive, Ableton setup that I use. The power of Ableton is in being able to take these channels and kind of combine them, process them, and split them apart, and then recombine them. And that's what I'm going to show you how I do. So I've got input effects over here, and if any channel is set on monitor in, then it's going to continuously play the audio that's coming into it, out of it. So I set this channel to monitor in, and I've got the audio of 4 different channels piped towards it. So this audio 2 plugs a channel into it. So I've got 4 channels here that play into input effects. You can see my voice is included there. Now, input effects itself has a bunch of effects. It's got low pass, high pass, bass boost, mid boost. It's got some amplifiers, a few things that I can switch on and off. And these effects all contribute to its output, which enter into its sends. So I use these sends to split it off so that there are channels that can process apart from its own effects, but they don't disappear immediately when I switch them back off. That's a nice thing about send. So let's say I've got a delay, right? If I turn it off, you can hear it's still continuing. So I can talk, but it's not picking up more delays, but it's still continuing in the background. So that's what these sends are all about. So I have receives, and these receives are configured to output into the same channel that my sends are outputting into. So you see here, input post effects, input post effects, input post effects. They're all arriving at the same place where my input is arriving, input post effects. So this channel, input post effects, is recombining all of these elements, making it one channel again. Then I send it off to my looper channel as well as my output effects channel. So looper channel takes its audio from input post effects, and input post effects sends its audio to output effects. And that's how channels can be split as well. So you can turn a channel into 2 channels like that. Its audio is ending up in 2 different places. So it's exciting output, and it's also exciting looper. And this looper channel has got instrument rack with a bunch of different loopers inside of it. Their output is set to never. They're set to play when they're finished. And they've got their record button configured to MIDI. Now, if you have a MIDI button that can stop your entire track up at the top, the first looper is going to sample your tempo. So it will behave just like any other loop pedal. So here you can configure as many loopers as you want, which is kind of like one of the key advantages of Ableton. You can take many loopers instead of just having 2, 3, 5, whatever you can afford. You can have as many as you want, and you can process them in many different ways. You can maybe have one looper that gets a resonance instrument applied to it, but others that don't, and things like that. So looper then pipes its audio to this channel, and this channel just sends its audio to output effects. Output effects has audio filters that it applies to it, so I can filter my voice on the output, but I can also filter my voice on the input. The input filters will get recorded on my loopers. The output effects won't. I've also got sends that happen on my outputs, and I have to run them as separate sends. So you see I have a whole bunch of sends. Some of them are for input, some of them are for output. And what those sends, their returns, go to the same channel as the rest of my output effects. So once, the same way that I'm recombining everything for my loopers and for my instruments and all of this recombination that's happening, I'm doing the same thing for output. I'm taking it and all of its sends, making sure it all ends up in one channel. And that allows me to take this audio, and I can again send this, split this off, cue this out to headphones, for instance, things like that. And what I use to control Ableton is this. So this app is called Touch OSC, and I'm using an old recycled touch device, and I've got looper buttons assigned here. You can, with Touch OSC, you can create your own controls. You can create your own layout. And I've got dials for my reverbs and for my effects. I've got buttons set up to the loopers. And there's a special Max for Live audio effect that you can use. It comes with Ableton, but it's a downloadable. It's one of the packs. And that is called OSC Send. And what I'm doing in Touch OSC is I've got a few LEDs set up, and I'm using this OSC Send tool to sample. If I map them to the stop button on these loopers, they can sample the state of the looper, and then my tablet displays whether any of these loopers are active or not. And with that all combined, it gives me 150% or more of the functionality that I would expect from a modern looper. Personally, I own the RC-505 MK2, and I'm busy expanding on both setups when I have my computer with me, when I don't have my computer with me, and I'm learning both processes. My preference is the computer rig. Ableton is better at this than Boss is, and any of you can quote me on that. I'll be happy to put my name behind that. If anybody has a good idea for a pitch shifter or something that I can add to my setup, I'd be happy to hear about it in the comments. I always love getting comments from you guys. Also, I would like to recommend a free pitch shifter that is fairly good at low latency setups. It's called Pitch Proof, so that might be worth a little look. This is Moonshine shining out. Peace and love to every one of you. Have a good day.